everyone, it's me, Beatty Kelly Sunflower. So I'm on to do the second video of my hashtag, which is called My Lenormand Collection. And these Lenormand decks that I'm going to showcase are decks that I bought because the creator or publisher has created a tarot deck or oracle deck or Kipper deck. And so I bought these Lenormand decks to actually pair with those decks. So the first Lenormand deck that I want to showcase is the Afro Goddess Lenormand, and this was created by the lovely Andrea Furtex. I bought this Oracle Lenormand deck because it's the size of an Oracle deck, because I have the tarot deck. I have the original tarot deck because I think there's a few additions to the tarot deck, and they make a really nice pairing. So these Lenormand decks or Lenormand cards are quite large to fit in with the size of the tarot deck. They're really lovely. They've got a nice buttery feel. They're a little bit busier than the usual Lenormand decks that I'm attracted to, but I still love this deck. So that's the rider, the clover. Look at the ship, the house, the trees. So these ones are quite clear. Look at the clouds, the snake, the coffin, the bouquet, and the scythe. This is a bit busy because you don't know whether it's the lady or the scythe or even the moon, but it's still a beautiful deck. The guidebook, even though it's quite short, is very informative. And what I like about the guidebook is that the creators put a magnifying glass in there, because I think with her tarot deck, people were saying that the guidebook was small, so she listened and put the magnifying glass in. But what I like about the guidebook is that it also gives timings. So, for example, if I read the house, the timings are 4 days, 4 months, 4 years. Maybe because the house is card 4. Says, the house card represents everything to us that truly makes us feel at home. This can include your physical home itself, house, apartment, etc., your family members, and all affairs related to the home itself. This is the space, and these are the people that make you feel comfortable, safe, stable, and secure. Breathe easily, for in this environment and with this tribe, they are secure. This card can also represent investment of purchasing a home, real estate agents, or real affairs. If in love, you may be part of a safe and comfortable union. There are a few issues. Harmony and balance reign. If it is in career, this card can represent a family-owned business establishment or generally any business run from home. For it is definitely true that home is where the heart is. For many, it can also be grounds for a backyard garden of success. So I like the meanings. I like the fact that she's created this deck to love, career, and she's put timings in there. The only thing that I would have liked to see is the playing card associations, but then this is more of an oracle deck really, and it is named an oracle deck. It's not named Lenormand, but it's based on the Lenormand system. So the next Lenormand deck that I want to showcase is the Shadowland Lenormand. And I bought this Lenormand deck to complement the tarot deck that this creator also made. It's got lovely gold edgings. These cards are more tarot size, and it's kind of like a Halloweenish Lenormand deck. It's got a lot of bats in there. Again, it's a bit busy for me. The garden card, you know, is that the man or woman? Is that the child? It's quite difficult to know. So the scythe, you know, the archetype is more prominent than the scythe. It's a ship. So I do use this deck with the tarot deck when I'm using it. I do like the artwork. I don't think this deck is beginner friendly because of the kind of busyness of the cards. And again, there's no playing card inserts in this particular deck. The guidebook is really informative. So, for example, if I look at the scythe, it gives you the name of the archetype number. It gives you a brief explanation. A reaper figure holds on an ancient harvest tool known as the scythe. Then it gives you keywords: harvest, completion, unexpected or swift endings, shadow, sudden or continued aggression, potential violence, message. The scythe can indicate an ending to a specific time period, a particular lifestyle, or a certain relationship. You may experience an abrupt or unexpected ending that may feel harsh. This card often shows up in a reading as a job or monetary loss. Near finance or business cards such as the fish, moon, clover, star or ship. Sometimes this card is warning of aggression, a sharp tongue, verbal abuse or physical threats. Don't underestimate something that seems harmless but feels wrong. This card suggests you remove yourself from any unsafe situations that are not for your highest good or that do not ensure your complete well-being. And it's got reflection questions. What sudden endings has left you residual insecurities? Does fear or poor outcomes hold you back? Have you assessed any relationships that feel abusive? So I like the way that it's laid out, and I like that it kind of gives you questions to reflect on. The next Lenormand deck that I want to show you is called the Thelema Lenormand. I bought this deck because the creator or the author devised a tarot deck of the same name. I bought that deck years ago, but that deck I've since gifted. I bought this deck because of the size and because of the clear archetypes. To me, the artwork is slightly different than the tarot deck, but then that's just my own personal opinion. Others might have a different opinion. What I like about this deck is that it doesn't name the archetype, but it gives you the archetypal number and the playing card association. And it's just clear, like you can see this is clearly an anchor. Even though there's boats and birds in the background, the anchor is the most prominent card. The scythe, even though there's a haystack behind it, you can see that this is a scythe, so you don't really need the archetype name. The mountain, the ship, the lady or she, her, the book, the bird. And I like the fact that the birds are in packs of two, because you know the birds are about gossip and chatter, and sometimes when you see one bird on the Lenormand deck, it doesn't really represent to me the meaning. The garden, the snake, the mouse. This card's a bit busy, but the mice are still prominent. Fish, the gentleman or man, stalks, the rider. So let's have a look at the guidebook. So the guidebook is written in multi-languages. This might be because it's a Lascarabal publication. It just gives you basic kind of keywords. The house. A well-kept two-story house has a stunning yard. The house can refer to the physical building, those who live underneath the roof, or activities taking place inside. Keywords: place of residence, house, apartment, etc. Foundation, family possessions, comfort, dwellings, shelter, domestic residence, landlords, local. And then energy, neutral or maybe. So I think that's like a yes, no answer. Playing cards, King of Hearts. Additional meanings include a big-hearted nature, being generous, sentimental, driven to fits of access or food or drink. So I like the fact that it kind of gives you like timings and a brief description about the playing card association. So even though it's kind of like a short guidebook, it's also got like a lot of information there, which I like. So the next three Lenormand decks are by Tarot Collectibles. I have a couple of their decks, so I thought I'd buy the Lenormand decks to pair up with them. So the first one that I want to show you is the Horror Lenormand. So backs of the cards. And this comes out normally during Halloween, but then you can use it all year round. It clearly marks the number of the archetype, and it gives you the name of the archetype. It's a bit of a dark deck, but it's quite a clear reader. Like you can see that's a tree. You can see this is a book. The mouse has been replaced by rat. The whip. Look at that hairy arm. The birds. The clover. The man. So to me, it is quite a clear reader. Look at the woman. So this is one of their decks. It's the Horror Lenormand. The second Lenormand is called the Winter Lenormands. The backs of the cards are like icicles. And it's just like the Horror Lenormand deck. It's got the name and number of the archetype. And it's just a clear Lenormand that is focused around winter or Christmas. So this does tend to come out around the winter time, but more around Christmas. So again, it's a very clear winter. Look at the last letter to Santa. The tree is a Christmas tree. And the final Tarot collectible Lenormand deck that I've got is called the Groovy Lenormand. It's kind of very psychedelic, very funky. It's got the name of the archetype and the archetype number. To me, it's quite clear, but I don't know whether a newbie would find this clear because of all the busyness going around, you know, all the psychedelic kind of stuff that's going around in the background. The next Lenormand deck is called Lovesome Lenormand. It was created by a Instagrammer called Tarot13. She also has the tarot deck. It's called the Lucid Tarot. It's got an extra card, the Crown. So Tania, that's Tarot Mums 13's name, she showcased this deck a lot on Instagram. And I messaged her and I said to her, where did you buy this deck from? I really love it. And she said she made it for herself, the same way that she made the tarot deck for herself as well. So I said to her, can I buy it off you? Because I really like the aesthetic. So she actually gifted me this deck and the tarot deck. And this is a really clear reader. There's no playing card associations. But then again, this deck was made for herself. The scythe has been changed to scissors. But it's a really clear reader, and I think there is like a online leaflet with the explanations, but it's quite self-explanatory. It's very, very clear. And I often do pair it with the Lucid Tarot deck. They make a good pairing. And I like the fact that the lilies are both red and white, because, you know, red lilies to me is more about sex and stuff like that. And the white lily is more about maturity and purity. So I'm glad that she put both of them in the cards. So the next deck, which is called the Maybe Lenormand deck, is like a hybrid kind of playing card Lenormand deck. And I bought that because I have the playing card Marseille deck, and I bought that to pair with a playing card deck. Let me just show you some of the cards. So these are the backs of the cards. So because this deck is a playing card hybrid, some of the cards you have to read as playing cards. So what I usually do when I'm using this deck, I just take out 36 cards so that I've got the Lenormand cards. So for example, this is the letter, and that's the playing card association. And because it is a kind of like playing card hybrid, the playing cards association is quite prominent, as well as the archetype, the fish. So it hasn't got the archetypal name, but it's just got the number, but you can tell that this is a fish. This is the woman or lady, the ring, the rider, the garden. It's just a very clear read of the book. Trees, the dog. For card 14, which is the fox, it says, sly. He stalks his prey if near to you. Beware of those around you with ulterior motives. If far, there is no severe threat. He is duplicitous, but not always harmful, unless followed by negative cards. Some may say he represents work, though more like a side gig or a freelance work. Your hassle, if you will. As a person, they can be manipulative and cunning. Physically, they have red hair or be petite, light on their feet. Keywords: cunning, mischievous, dubitous, stalk, silence, side job. So I like the way that it's written out. I like that it's got the oracle cards in there as well. So this book is broken into two parts. So the first cards, which are 1 to 37 of a Lenormand cards, and then 37 to 52, they're like playing cards, or I call them oracle cards. But I haven't actually read them as a complete set. I just tend to take out the Lenormand cards to read this particular deck. So the next deck is the Pixie Astounding Lenormand. The creator of this didn't actually make an oracle or tarot deck, but this deck is inspired by the Rider-Waite-Smith system, and I'll tell you why when we get to the guidebook. So I tend to pair this deck up with my Centennial deck because they've got the same sort of pastel colouring. So this is the garden, the stalk, the book, the ring, the rider, the key, the heart, the letter. So this book was originally indie, and then it was picked up by US Games. So the reason why I've put this card out is to kind of show you the linkage to the Rider-Waite-Smith system. Image origin. The rider itself sits on the horse of the Knight of Cups. So it's saying that how the horse on this card is the Knight of Cups in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. The body of the rider is that from the Six of Wands to help bring victorious energy, while the head is from the Page of Wands. Noting that this is the ambassador. He's holding the, I can't pronounce that word, but it's this kind of thing here, from the Two of Cups, to help understand that he is the bearer of news. The horse or the rider is from the Knight of Cups. The body is from the Six of Wands. The head is from the Page of Wands. So that's why I'm saying that how this deck is kind of like a mismatch of the Rider-Waite-Smith. So if the Rider-Waite-Smith wasn't invented, I don't think this Lenormand deck would have been invented. So the next deck is the Dreaming Way Lenormand. And I bought this to complement the Dreaming Way Tarot. I bought this as soon as it was kind of published, because I think the Dreaming Way Tarot was one of my first quirkier decks, because when it came out it was quite unusual. Not so much now because there's more quirkier decks in the market. These are the backs of the cards, and this is a very clear reader. It gives you the number, it gives you the archetype type name, and it gives you the playing card association. So you can see this is clearly a book. You can see that these are mice, even though the cheese is also quite prominent in the card. You've got the whips, or the whip, the ship, the stalk. This card here again is a bit busy, because if this card was on a grand tableau and there was no numbering or no archetype name, this could be the lady or the fox, you know. So that's what I mean by cards sometimes not being that clear. The anchor is a tattoo on somebody's arm. The letter is quite clear. Again, the snake, you know, the woman, the lady is quite prominent in this card. So what is it? Is it the lady or is it the snake? Is it card 29 or is it card 7? The heart is quite clear. And then the dog again, you know, is it the child or is it the dog? So, and the fish, the umbrella is quite prominent. So this is why I'm saying that how, even though I love this deck, I wouldn't say that it's beginner friendly, because there are types of fussiness in the card, like the birds. Is that the house or the birds? The coffin, this is a nice coffin, somebody in a sardine can. The garden, you know, but then that could also be the bouquet. So the cloud, you know, that the smoke from a cup of coffee or tea or a hot beverage. So even though it is kind of clear for me, I don't think this deck is beginner friendly, but at the same time I do love the artwork in this deck. So the book, so it's got card 16, the stars, and it's got the playing card association. For my part, I know nothing with any certainty, but the sight of the stars makes me dream. And this is a quote by Vincent van Gogh. The star card shows a luminous display of stars scattered across the indigo heavens, just as the constellations provided confidence and guidance to ancient navigators at the sea. The stars card offering clarity and inspiration. If success has seemed beyond reach, the appearance of the stars card assures you that your highest aspirations are obtainable. The stars provide the light at the end of the tunnel to guide you towards your vision. If you have not even dared to believe in happy endings, this card encourages you to explore new paths, trusting that fate has amazing things in store for you. This is abundance beyond your wildest dreams out there. Reach for the stars. I mean, it's got the keywords: inspiration, guidance, illumination, optimism, and abundance. Okay, so that's the Dreamway Lenormand deck. My next deck is the K Lenormand, and I bought this because I have the K Tarot deck. You don't see this deck around so much. Well, I don't anyway. So this deck to me is kind of got a very autumn feel. These are the backs of the cards. They're kind of like chipping a bit because I use them so much. I might have to edge these. So some of the cards are a bit busy. So for example, the scythe, it's got the name of the archetype and the playing card association. And you know, the scythe is there, but there's loads of hay and a figure of a person. The sun, I love the beautiful sunflowers. The clouds. The cloud cards are something that I look for in a Lenormand deck. I love to see the light and dark in the clouds. So this is probably one of my favourite cloud cards in all my Lenormand decks. So the mice, the heart, again, you know, it's kind of hidden by the hand and the female figure. The man. So there's two men and two women, but I like the fact that the man is from behind, and I like the fact that he's got hips and stuff like that. So this could be a lady as well. So you've got the fish, the bouquet, the mountain, and this is one of the feminine cards. So let's have a look at the book. I opened up at the actual book card. So I'll give you an example of how the book's written out. So for example, it's got the name of the archetype and the number, nouns and phrases, facts, truth, knowledge, learning, study, education, advanced training, educational institutions, schools, college, university, academics, science, intelligence in the sense of knowledge, book learning, and so on and so forth. So it's got activities to know, to tell the truth, to learn, study, educate oneself, teach, to categorize, classify, pigeonhole, to think inside the box, to think in a stereotyped way, to pigeonhole, attributes, factual truth, intelligent, knowledgeable education, academic, scientific, in the now, known, intellectual, classified in the sense of filed away, in category or categorical, in the sense of stereotypical, pigeonholed, blah, 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 blah. As a person, well-educated, intellectual person who is inclined to pigeonhole, think inside the box depending on the question asked and on the surrounding cards. Teacher, professor, student. As advice, study, educate yourself, find out the truth, accept the facts negatively. Don't forget about your physical, emotional needs. Don't be a know-it-all, think outside the box, and time factor. When we have learned the relevant facts, you'll know when. So this is the guidebook. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but I think it's well written. So my next Lenormand deck is called the Siren Song, and it's a Lenormand and Kipper card combination. And I bought this deck because I have a tarot deck that's written by the same creator, and that is the Relative Tarot. So I bought this deck because I want to learn Kipper. And it's kind of like a Kipper stroke Lenormand combined. So I'm not sure whether, because I haven't actually used it yet. I kind of read the book, but I need to kind of look at the cards. So you got the rider. Backs of the cards are really lovely. The clover, the ship, the house, the tree. It's like a coconut, a pineapple tree. Got the clouds. So it's very clear. The snake, coffin, the bouquet. I believe it's got 36 cards. Yep, so I think the first side of them are 36 cards, and the other pile must be the Kipper cards. But I'm yet to kind of use the Kipper cards. I want to be a bit more confident in the Kipper system before I use them. But at least, you know, I've got the option of 2 in 1. So the guidebook, so for the Lenormand side, it gives you the number, the meanings and keywords. So for example, 34 fish, keywords: income, affluence, wealth, money, resources, financials. When the fish swims close to our siren, it brings financial abundance and promise that business will flourish. The closer fish falls to the siren, the more affluent and successful the siren will be. When far, our sirens will flounder. They won't have access to a wealth of resources during this time frame, and no matter how well planned, projects and goals involving gain will remain beached, floppy, futilely in the shallow waters. So it's just like a basic meaning. So I do need to work with this deck, especially the Kipper side. The next deck is the Rainbow Kipper by Tony Pooley and Stephen Bright. Again, I bought this deck because I have Stephen Bright's tarot deck. It's called The Spirit Within. And I also like Stephen Bright's writing style. I think he's a really good writer. He gets straight to the point, doesn't waffle. So this is just a Kipper deck. I haven't actually used this deck yet. I flipped through it, but I haven't looked at it. But the purchase was inspired by a tarot deck, but this is not technically a Lenormand deck, even though there are some cards that are Lenormand in here, but they mean different things. So the guidebook is really well written. So for example, now card 5 in the Kipper is called the Good Gent, and it's got here: I am supportive and loyal, always there when you need a father influence. Good Gent stands strong and proud among the crowd of Kipper players. He is the father figure that you can turn to when the going gets tough, and a solid force that you can count on during times of need. Good Gent is the elder in the Kipper family tree. He provides for his kingfolk and teaches the correct form of addresses and behaviour. He is a true leader and leads by example. Whether in the workplace or at home, he leads with principles and expects you to follow his example. His aura brings in positivity to aid any difficult positions. As a person, he can signify a father, grandfather, manager, supervisor, or mentor we can look up to. If the querent is female, Good Gent often presents himself as her ex-partner when separated. Placement. The Good Gent is a positive card by nature. Ahead of the main character, he is always pleasant company. When landing behind the main character's back, he creates difficulties within their relationships and is less supportive to the querent. Daily advice. Good Gent brings support and stability into your day. He will be the harbinger of good news, or simply an older gentleman who figures in your day. Positive aura, good news, positivity, leadership, gentle authority. Negative aura, negative news, unsupportive, difficult, stubborn. So, you know, so he writes really nice. And to me, the Good Gent has got like a lot of emperor and rider kind of energy. But that's just what I've got by reading that kind of short blurb. And this final deck is called the Prince Lenormand Oracle. by FMA Dawn. I bought this deck because I've got the Modern Love Tarot from her. This is my backup copy. I can't actually find the copy that I've been using. I saw it the other day because I worked with it, so maybe I've misplaced it somewhere. So I won't open this up because it's still in cellophane. But what I might do, if I find it by the time I do my final video, which is my third video, I will showcase it then. So I will be putting up a third video, which is the rest of my Lenormand collection, very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.